சாதி மதம் இன்னும் அடிச்சுக்கிறீங்க? நாமெல்லாம் ஒரே ரத்தம்டா.
Hello everyone, this is Soundarya from the Quint and you're listening to Do I Like It? A Quint production where we review anything and everything under the sun. And in this episode, I'll tell you, do I like Sivakarthikeyan starrer Prince?
In life, things happen. And even if nothing's happening, that's still something happening, right? So on this show, we talk about things that happen. We get an esteemed panel of highly jobless people to answer the million-dollar question. Do I like it?
Recently, monarch Britain Queen Elizabeth passed away, and there was this online discourse on how different people, processed her death differently. For instance, if you were born and brought up in the UK, and if you were part of the royal family, you might have felt differently, and if you were not part of the royal family, you might have had a different feeling about her death. And if you were someone from a country which was once colonized by the Britain, you might have a totally different experience, because your ancestors were enslaved by the British, but then you just don't feel any emotion. Or sometimes it can be that I just feel sad about her death. At the end of the day, she's a human being, You can't be happy about someone being dead. So basically, these are different kinds of emotions that one could have, experienced when they first heard about the Queen's death. It's a very complicated emotion on how Indians could, feel about the British, especially the present day UK citizens. And Sivakarthikeyan's Prince kind of uses this as a nod for its plot. So the story revolves around Anbu, played by Sivakarthikeyan, a school teacher who bunks classes to watch films. Okay, in what world does a school teacher goes out bunking classes? In Prince world. He teaches history and he gets a new colleague, a British woman, Jessica, played by Maria, and she becomes his reason to, be back in school with full attendance because she's obviously very beautiful and he falls in love at first sight with her. And also because his father is a very progressive man and he was for a long time, he was asking him to, love a girl outside of their caste and religion. However, here comes the conflict. Anbu's father, played by Satyaraj, as we said, he's a very progressive man, but he's a staunch patriot. He hates the British for enslaving Indians. Other than that, he's okay with, Anbu marrying any girl from any community, any religion or any country except for England. The film touches upon very heavy subjects like colonialism, patriotism, discrimination based on caste, class and religion. All of this while being quirky, cracking some lame jokes. The film kind of raises questions on a lot of things. Like for instance, it raises question on love at first sight. Because when Jessica is being proposed to by Anbu, she asks him why do you love me? He doesn't really have an answer. He likes her because maybe she's fair, she's a foreigner, he could get a dependent visa if he marries her. There are so many silly reasons that he keeps thinking of why do I love her? And it could also be possible because he was constantly being told by his father to, opt for love marriage out of his caste and religion. The film also kind of questions about war and humanity. However, it just goes past casually. It's very evident that the film doesn't take itself too seriously and it also urges us not to. Right from the first scene, Prince kind of registers that it is not here to take any heavily opinionated stands. Rather, it is just here to explore the absurdities and the silliness of a British-Indian couple's love story. It just touches upon this patriotism and humanity angle, but then it just, dilutes it with a lot of jokes. There is one sequence where Sivakarthikeyan explains his patriotism in his own funny style. It kind of references his previous, hilarious flick, Vartapadada Valibar Sangam. And he says, as kids, we are being constantly told that all Indians are our brothers and sisters. And as a patriot, he literally follows that. And that is the reason why he loves a British woman. And also, he takes a cheeky dig at his own self. He does this self-deprecatory humor, about him being a lyricist of late, with a lot of, nonsensical lines like Gumuri Tapara or Halamatia Bibu in Arabic Kuttu, which was part of, Vijay's Beast. And all of these comedies kind of work very well. And hence actor Sivakarthikeyan and director Anudeep, they kind of, coherently stitch a bunch of comedic sketches in the pretense of like telling a very substantial story. Because that has pretty much been their style, Sivakarthikeyan's Doctor or Anudeep's Jati Ratnalu. However, in Prince, despite the tremendous opportunity to delve into different kinds of humor, especially with such an offbeat premise, a British woman and an Indian guy fall in love. So the scope for comedy was really high, but the film predominantly relies just on dialogue delivery for humor. It works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It works at many places with, embarrassingly silly setup. It's funny, but then it also falls flat, at many places, if you know what I mean. But something that I really liked is Taman's music and Sivakarthikeyan's terrific dance moves. I must say these two elements kind of do all the heavy lifting for Prince, while the screenplay is like super chilled out. It's lying like a couch potato, super lazy, Another thing that deserves appreciation is the cinematography of the film because, with vibrant visuals, it was just pleasing to the eyes. Maria, who's an Ukrainian actor, and she's making her Tamil debut, and I must say it was like pretty decent. Like, she did a fairly good job. So after all this talk, do I like Sivakarthikeyan's Prince? See, Sivakarthikeyan isn't yet another star, right? He's coming from a non-filmy background and becoming this popular stand-up comedian and a celebrated television host, and now the superstardom that he has attained. I mean, like, he is this perfect embodiment of zero to hero transformation, He is this inspirational icon for so many youngsters, for people like us, like, who consider him as a role model, watching him as an ardent fan. Barely meeting his own standards is just not satiating enough. It has interesting elements, it does make you laugh at times, but just that it feels like a film that would have worked better had it come few years back when he was still not the big thing that he is today. You know what I mean? Like, he has just set the bar high for himself, so it's just disappointing to see him just scrape through. And yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode of Do I Like It? Follow us on Instagram at The Quint and tell us what you want us to talk about next week. And check out our website, thequint.com, for more groundbreaking reports, reviews, and videos. And this was Soundarya Adimuthu, and I'll see you in the next one. Do I Like It? Is a Quint original podcast hosted by Soundarya Adimuthu. Executive produced by Shelly Walia and Ritu Kapoor. Produced by Anjali Palod. Edited by Prateek Liddu. Uses audio from Prince. Theme music from BMG Production Music.
You were listening to the Quint's podcast.